See, to repeat your question, you say, I said that you should not have ego. We didn't say that. You should be happy with yourself. We didn't say that. This thing never happened. You cannot not have ego. You cannot decide to be happy with yourself. Things never happen. It is not what you achieve, but your state of mind, you say that driven. Driven means you are being chased by something. That means you have no freedom at all. And more driven you are, more bound you are. And so we were making an observation of what is real success and what the world thinks the success is. In the world, this gratification of ego is considered success. Being driven is considered a way of life. We are saying that they are wrong concepts for how life should be. Ultimately, what you want is happiness in life. Nobody wants success for the sake of success, it is for happiness. Ego also is not for the sake of ego, it is for the happiness. If ego makes you unhappy, if success makes you unhappy, if being driven makes you unhappy, then what's the point in having them? So they have a wrong equation in life. More the merrier. So more you have, happier you are. And then when you keep on piling up your possessions, thinking that is what happiness is, piling up a name, fame, recognition, thinking that is what happiness is, it's a game of piling up. Not taking time to see whether it gives you what you are seeking. Having piled up money, one should sit still and see whether it has made me happy or not. Piling up name, fame, recognition, power, nobody taking for granted that is happiness. Not recognizing that happiness is a state of mind when you are at peace with yourself. And therefore, what people are doing is out of a wrong understanding of what they want in life. And the way they are doing is what deprives them from what they want. You follow? So-called success deprives people from the real success, which is being happy with oneself. Because we always equate success with an external picture, like a big, powerful position, wealth, power, fame, these are all considered marks of success. But power, wealth and fame are ultimately for something, is it not so? You want to have a big house, not for the sake of house, so you can be comfortable. You can be at peace with yourself, is it not so? Nobody wants a house to become miserable. Nobody wants power to become miserable. Nobody wants those things to be miserable, they want them to be happy. And that is to be at peace with oneself. But then nobody ever stops and sees whether what I have achieved and what I am about to achieve is what I am seeking in life or not. Because somebody has trust in their mind that this is called happiness, this is called success. And therefore we just chase it blindly, what others are doing or what others have told us. And so we are looking at the very fundamental causes of why we are doing what we are doing. What's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of life? And how to accomplish that purpose? The simple thing. What Vedanta teaches is two things: what is the purpose of life and how to accomplish that purpose. It's not different from what anybody else is trying to do. So if this seems to contradict what others are doing, either this is wrong or they are wrong, one of the two. So now you have to go and inquire with the people who are successful and in privacy ask them, are they at peace with themselves? Are they happy with anything? How are their relationships? You have to ask them. And if somebody says they have all material things plus this, then you have to bow down to him. It is possible that somebody has, by righteous actions, accomplished this, and therefore he can have peace and prosperity both. But prosperity being what it is, at some point in time, pushes you into compromising your values. That's what ego is. That's what success is. The end becomes more important than means. And more you sacrifice the means, more unhappiness you invite, because you are violating the fundamental law. Even though that violation may not result into punishment on the earth, it certainly may mean the punishment in the mind. And so, no, we cannot convince them unless they want to listen and reconsider what all they are doing. We don't want to convince them also. Why should we convince anybody? So we don't want to prove that what they are doing is wrong. If they want to learn something, then we can start from the beginning to make assumptions about life. Then perhaps people will understand. There are many people here who are part of that picture also, and they are still here, who recognize that, who are seeing that with this basis is the only way. Not by compromising this, but by including this, that you can make some success in your life. It is true that when people try to practice these values in their life, they find it very contradictory. Because these values are based on a different understanding about what success is. If you retain the same understanding or notion about success, and then try to practice, it doesn't work. That does not mean that by following the values that success does not come. That is also not the point. Because that success comes not by just being driven and stuff like that. That's what people think. It comes by talent, it comes by hard work, and it comes by luck. All these three things are required, not just one. But people always present, you should be driven. That is one of the things. You should be talented. You should be hardworking. And you should be lucky. Then only success can come. Otherwise you settle with what you get. Vedanta says that is success. Vedanta defines success not by end but by means. It is not what you achieve, it defines success. It is the way you achieve is what makes it success. Not the outcome but the process. So don't wait, Lord Krishna says, don't wait for the outcome to make you happy. Enjoy the process. Outcome is in future, process is in the present. Outcome you cannot control, process is in control.
ego, I guess up to a certain point. But after the fact, I realized it was the ego that made me say something or do something. Is there anything I can do afterwards?
We say that the ego has to be slowly transformed from Rajasic to Sattvic. It is Rajasic ego about which we are talking about, which is the aggressiveness is, the drive is, the ambitions are, the conflicts are. It's Sattvic ego that gets transformed, it contributed. A Rajasic ego is a consumer. A Sattvic ego is a contributor. So Sattvic ego ultimately becomes a means of becoming free from ego. But first the ego must be changed to transform into a Sattvic ego. So transform yourself from being a consumer to a contributor. Consumer is the Rajasic ego. Contributor is Tamasic ego. So ego will be there as long as you are doing things. But the process of doing itself is such that it slowly transforms the ego.
See, we are stuck at Rajasic, Swamiji. Sattvic, occasionally we go and then we come back to Rajasic. So how to have more Sattvic?
Well, take a little time, when you get a few minutes. Then deliberate upon what this Rajasic ego does to me. Because we have not recognized perhaps the damage that the Rajasic ego does to us. This is called dosha darshan. To become free from something, we have to see again and again the faults and the disadvantages and the damage that is involved in having that. So the mind has to see again and again and again the damage that it does to itself by entertaining a Rajasic ego. Rajasic ego means being aggressive. Meaning a tendency to have my way, sometimes compromise values. And so it may have a short-term gain, no doubt about that. There is something called short-term gain and long-term pain. Short-term pain, long-term gain. So Sattvic ego does involve accepting short-term pain and long-term gain. Usually mind wants immediate gratification, goes for short-term gain. The Rajasic ego gives us short-term gain, but creates the ground for a long-term gain. So we have to make the mind see this fact in our own self. This is theory. What I say is theory. We have to see how that works in our life, in practice, with myself, our own self. So more we understand the validity of this, more mind sees that yes, this makes sense. This is right. They don't make people want to, otherwise they don't want. There is something called intellect that listens to this and understands. Something called mind that does things. So this teaching of intellect has to slowly percolate to the mind, which is Karta Harta, which is the Prime Minister. Intellect is more like a consultant and a think tank. Mind is more like a Prime Minister who is authorized to do everything. Sometimes doesn't even ask us and does things. So that is what the change has to happen.
Swamiji, the interactions that we have when we go to work and at work, we get so engrossed in what we have accomplished at the job, we kind of what we're doing at home to try to get sattvic and do all these things, kind of forget that and get engrossed in work and then become mechanically doing things. How do we continue to have that mind even when we are dealing with people at work?
So what you are trying to say is what we are required to do at work is contrary to what we are learning here. We are in a way compelled at work to act in a manner which is damaging to us. I find it hard to accept that somebody can compel me to do something. They can compel me to do something. They cannot compel me to change my attitude and values. So I may have to do this, that, and whatever it is, that is what they can decide. But I still have the freedom to maintain my attitude. It may be more difficult, more challenging, sure. The work environment will be much more challenging for maintaining the attitude, the values, than the home environment. Not always, but it's likely. Home can be pretty tough also, anyway. Depends. So, challenge can be anywhere. Where people are, challenges are going to be there. But from what you say, you must be one of the lucky ones. Well, who is more conducive? Some people, sometimes you want to go to work, they don't want to go home. The workaholic people have that. They don't want to go home. Anyway, but in work, I guess what we are required to do is to perform, do things quickly, do things fast. They don't teach that you should get angry. But you find that getting angry is the only way to accomplish that, perhaps. You can achieve your goal only when you are aggressive. You are angry. You are authoritative. So we think that that is the means of accomplishing the goal. Does that happen? You can be a kind and compassionate person. I mean, you can be disciplined, you have boundaries, you are strict, put it this way. But you don't have to be cruel, insensitive. Don't have to be. Because it doesn't accomplish anything. We think that getting angry, etc. accomplishes things, it doesn't. In short term it may look like, in long term it does not. So more we understand the trap in which we place ourselves and justify what we do, more we so you can rehearse at home what you are supposed to do in office. And imagine people coming and talking to this or that, whatever they must be doing. And then rehearse how you should actually respond to them. It may not work out, but you can rehearse and train your mind. Mind will forget. Rehearse again, 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 again. Just as you train people, you train the mind also.
So, this country, with all the organizations, they're all for-profit companies, which means they're so focused on the results. Almost, we all get measured on a daily basis on the performance. And so, as we set processes or systems in place, if the results is not there, and sometimes they're so focused on short-term results, as you said, management sets that trap or that pressure that we all feel on a day-to-day basis. The second aspect I find is that if in meetings or in all places, if we don't speak with confidence or some authority, then they assume that we don't know or we lack. It's almost like you have to project a certain level of authority or else it's like they think someone doesn't know what they're doing or someone else. So it almost kind of sets that environment where you become a different person, just trying to perform in that setting. It just feels that way.
I think you're right. But we can slowly, you said that you have to assert your authority to create the impression that you know what you're talking about. You also use the word confidence. Perhaps the confidence coming from you would be more effective than authority coming from you. Nobody respects authority, really.
Yes.
They might momentarily bow down to intimidation, but they don't respect it. Confidence and self-assurance, I think, will be more effective. And it is true that everything is governed by outcome. And there is no other way. See, outcome is the only objective criterion to measure what you are doing. Even though ideally, as Lord Krishna teaches, this effort is more important than outcome. But effort cannot be measured. It's not a quantitative thing. Outcome alone can be measured. And therefore, it's fair, I think, to judge a person based on outcome. Imagining that the effort is in proportion to the outcome. If outcome is not so and such and such, effort also was not such and such. So we will accept that criterion because we live in the world, which is where that criterion is. And there is no question that we will try to maximize outcome. When Lord Krishna says, do not have attachment to the outcome, it doesn't mean that we are indifferent to the outcome. Not that we don't value the outcome. It is that we do not judge ourselves based on outcome. What is meant is that we do not judge ourselves based on the outcome. We value the outcome, we have pravajana, you have purpose in mind, which is outcome. You can do the best that you can do regardless of what it is, ultimately. It is not system is meant only for one person, it is meant for everybody. Everybody has to live in that system and function in that system. And so we respect them, respect that criteria, respect their needs and whatever it is. Because there is no better way, unfortunately. We can blame them with materialism. They say, what else can you be? What else can you be? Because in this world, success is measured merely by outcome. And outcome in terms of income for commercial organization. So, success means ultimately bottom line. We have to respect that, whether we philosophically like it, believe it or not. But that's the reality. Vyavaharic reality of life. We accept it and do the best that we can do in that framework. It's for us not to judge ourselves. They judge themselves. The reason why bottom line is important is because people judge themselves by that. As far as we are concerned, we don't judge ourselves by that. But we do respect that criteria. That's just So you're right, it is not different from this. It is a matter of attitude. Not that what the world is doing is contrary to what we are talking. We don't have to conform to their expectation in terms of values or attitudes. We conform to their expectation in terms of their system and their expectations. Even though they may adopt certain values for accomplishing those goals, And we have freedom to have our own values and attitudes to accomplish our goals. That freedom we have. You don't have to declare it. Keep it in your mind. Outwardly you may appear like one of those only. There are also a lot of says in this, he will say, what is it? Saktah karmanya vidvamsa yatha kurvanti bharata kuryat vidvams tatha sakta chikirshur lok sangrah. Saktah karmani avidvamsa, ignorant people. Karmani saktah, they are attached to karma and karma. This is what the world is. Because avidvamsa, they are ignorant. Ignorant in terms of the basic laws of life. They are very knowledgeable and, world-wise people. But ignorance with reference to the basic spiritual laws of life, they do not know that. They do not know the law of happiness and not of happiness. So they have their own understanding what makes them happy. And that's how they want to be happy. Avidvams are not only ignorant but wrongly informed. Ignorant but not knowing that we are ignorant and thinking that we are wise. Meaning those are not available for your preaching. Nor should we preach them. Saktaha karmani avidvamsa yatha kurvanti bharata. Hey Bharata Arjuna. Yatha avidvamsa karmani kurvanti saktaha. Karma phalesu saktaha. Being attached to the outcome, they perform the action. To them, outcome is more important than action. When that happens, there is always a likelihood of compromising of means for the sake of end. You observe this. Don't teach them. Nabuddhivedam janayed ajnanam karma sangina. You find that they are all attached to their karma phala. They are attached to their goals. For them, end is more important than means. Na buddhivedam janayed, don't unsettle their mind. There was an understanding, don't unsettle their understanding. Because they will left without any understanding. If you dismiss this understanding, there's nothing else to replace it. Then they will become totally, they will become inactive. This is what is driving them to do things. So even if the driving force is not right, the fact that doing something is important. Kurya vidvan tatha asakta. Vidvan should be the same way. Why? Meaning you will be like them outwardly. Inwardly asakta. Inwardly detached as best as you can. Meaning that inwardly committed to your values and attitudes as best as you can. Outwardly functioning in that environment like one of those. If the situation calls for being authoritative, etc., you may. Recognizing that it's a role that you're playing. Don't become that. Instead of becoming that, then we are going to spoil ourselves. But if you know that it's a role, okay, now I have to take the role, I have to assert myself, I have to be aggressive. I have to shut him up, I have to stop him, whatever. These things may not necessarily comply with your values. So you remind yourself that this is the role that I have to play. So within yourself, follow your value in being even as sympathetic as you can. Outwardly hurting, but still not wish bad of those people. Difficult things. It is difficult to function in the world with this orientation. But that's a great challenge. And that's what in fact gives an opportunity to grow. Staying at home will not. Different challenge, of course, but then maybe. So it's a challenge. We are meant to shape us and not hurt us. Maya is an adjunct of each Brahman, not limiting adjunct. Maya is limiting adjunct to Jiva, an adjunct to Brahman.
Okay, it's only an adjunct to
Maya is the vibhuti of Brahman. It empowers Brahman as Ishvara to do things. For Jiva is a limiting adjunct. So Upadhi doesn't always mean limiting. Ishvara's Upadhi doesn't limit him. See, Upadhi limits Jiva because of ignorance.
Swamiji, in a given day, around 12 hours goes to contributing to our profession or job.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes most of our lives, and there's no exit strategy to come out of it. I guess with all the expenses that we have created for ourselves, that we need to pay the bills. So is that? So it becomes a rut, Swamiji, doing that. There's really no motivation or except for the money we need to pay the bills. So how is there a way to and then reduce that and make more time for Shravanam, Mananam, and Vidyasanam, and I'm sure there's always time, but
the question is that we are required to spend as many as 12 hours a day for ourselves or for the livelihood, let us say. Then use very little time for Vedanta. But this is where the Karma Yoga comes. It should not become rut. That 12 hours should contribute to your happiness and growth. That's what Vedanta wants. That's Karma Yoga. So karma need not become necessarily a burden. It's the attitude that makes it can become a source of happiness. Meant to be. Karma, Lord Krishna prescribes karma not as a burden. He wants us to make karma as a source of happiness. So he's teaching what attitudes we should have so that karma becomes a source of joy and not a burden. Here we go to karma and then think that when will this be over, then I can go back to Shravana. Which is okay. But then why not use that time also for what Shravana does? What Shravana does in one way, Karma Yoga does in a different way. Perhaps Karma Yoga is more important than Shravana. What Shravana does is, it works at intellectual level. What Karma Yoga does at emotional level, which is where all the problems are. There are fewer intellectual problems than emotional problems. All these are emotional level things, what we just discussed. The values and attitude, all this come at the emotional attitudes mainly. And then enjoying something or it becoming a rut also at the emotional level. So in the morning decide, this is 12 hours for my happiness. I am going to enjoy this. But Swami, so many conflicts are there. So that's why we say, conflict is not a situation. Yeah.
We can take inspiration from Swamiji's. You're around the clock. Swamiji's work on on the same, doing the same thing over and over. So non-stop, so we can take inspiration.
And prepare for the classes.
And also non-identification also helps a lot. Swamiji.
Oh, that's much superior. Yeah.
That's a habitual error. And
First is the attitude. When the identification is there, then question of attitudes and values. When identification is not there, you already transcended that. You transcended the step of values and attitude when the identification is not. We are talking about when identification is, that is when this is required. That's when it becomes source of pleasure or pain. That's what identification is.
That's a mistake we've been making. Because having come here for more than 10 plus years, you're saying advanced, we should be in advanced stage. But
Why you are? Why do you think you are not?
so it's a habitual.
Maybe you are measuring advancement in some ways, and that may not be the way to measure it, but certainly you are.
So dropping sense of doership also has helped a lot. Then consciously when you operate that way, it doesn't.
Exactly, doership is there. It's not something that you can pluck out. It has to go by itself. Identity has to go. We can't give it up. Doership has to go, but as you progress from rajas to sattva, a lot of it is already gone. Sattvic ego means a lot of identification is gone, a lot of doership is gone. So it is a process of de-identifying this process. And what knowledge does is just little finishing stroke. Most of the work is done by this. No questions? All right, then shall we conclude?